All right, get ready because today we're going deep on something you might not be expecting.
Oh,
Parastomal hernias. You might be thinking, hernia near a stoma? That sounds pretty intense.
yeah, could see that.
And you'd be right.
hmm
But trust me, this deep dive is going to be surprisingly fascinating.
Parastomal hernias, or PSHs for short, are actually incredibly common.
Really?
Yeah, they're the #1 complication after someone has a stoma created.
Wow.
Whether it's a colostomy or an ileostomy, we're talking almost 50% of people.
50%. I had no idea they were that common.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So, for those of us who haven't brushed up on our anatomy lately, remind me,
Okay,
what exactly is a peristomal hernia?
good point. Let's break it down.
Okay,
Imagine you have a stoma,
right.
which is basically an opening in your abdomen
Uh-huh,
to allow waste to exit your body.
got it.
A peristomal hernia happens when a portion of your intestine
Okay.
pushes through the muscle wall near that stoma.
I see.
It's like a little bulge or protrusion.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier that not all PSHs are created equal.
Right.
What did you mean by that?
Well, some PSHs are small and barely noticeable. You might not even know you have one,
Really?
unless a doctor spots it during an exam.
Oh, wow.
These usually don't cause any problems.
Okay.
But then you have PSHs that grow larger
Uh-huh.
and start causing symptoms.
Okay, now you've got me really curious about the symptoms.
Right.
What kind of trouble can a PSH cause?
It really varies.
Okay.
Some people experience mild discomfort,
Like what?
like a dull ache or back pain.
Hmm.
Others might have more severe symptoms,
Okay.
like cramping, bloating, nausea,
Mm-hmm.
or changes in their bowel habits.
Gotcha.
In some cases, a PSH can even lead to bowel obstruction,
Oh, wow.
which is a serious medical emergency.
That sounds pretty scary.
It can be?
So knowing the warning signs is definitely crucial.
It is.
But I'm also curious about what makes someone more likely to develop a PSH in the first place. Are there any specific risk factors?
Definitely. Age is one factor,
Uh-huh.
as is your overall health.
Right.
But one of the most significant risk factors is obesity,
Okay.
especially if you have a waist circumference over 100 centimeters.
Interesting.
It seems that carrying extra weight around the midsection
Yeah.
can really put stress on those abdominal muscles,
Right.
increasing the risk of a hernia popping up.
The waist circumference detail is a real eye-opener.
Yeah,
Makes you think twice about maintaining a healthy weight.
for sure.
But what about prevention?
Okay.
If obesity is a risk factor,
Mhm.
can staying trim actually help prevent PSH?
Weight management is certainly part of the picture,
Okay.
but it's not a foolproof guarantee.
Right.
There are other factors at play as well,
Sure.
like certain medications
Oh.
or even malnutrition.
Oh, interesting.
But let's talk about something that has been shown to be quite effective in preventing PSH.
Okay.
The use of surgical mesh during stoma creation.
Hold on, mesh. Like the stuff they use for hernia repair?
Exact.
They actually put that in during the initial stoma surgery.
Yes, it's a preventative measure.
Wow.
Think of it like reinforcing the abdominal wall
Okay.
to make it stronger
Uh-huh.
and less likely to give way.
Makes sense.
And studies have shown that it really works.
Really?
In one study, using mesh during colostomy creation
Okay.
reduced the occurrence of PSH by a whopping 60%.
60%. That's incredible.
It is.
It sounds like a real game changer.
Yeah, it can be.
So if someone's facing stoma surgery,
Right.
it seems like asking their surgeon about mesh is a must.
It's definitely worth discussing.
But I'm curious, did everyone in that study get mesh?
Great question.
And what kind of mesh are we talking about here?
Not everyone in this study got mesh.
Okay.
It was a randomized trial,
Right.
meaning some patients received the standard surgery
Yeah.
and others had the mesh added.
I see.
As for the types of mesh,
Yeah.
there are a few different approaches. Think of it like choosing different types of fabric to patch a hole in your jeans.
Okay, I like that analogy. It's making this complex stuff a little easier to grasp.
Yeah, I try to keep things relatable.
So let's talk about the different fabrics or mesh types
Sure.
they use for these repairs.
You've got your direct fascial repair with mesh,
Okay.
which is like a direct patch over the weakened area.
Got it.
Then there's intra-abdominal repair with mesh,
Okay.
where the mesh is placed inside the abdominal cavity for reinforcement.
Mm.
And finally, there's laparoscopic mesh repair,
All right.
which is a minimally invasive technique
Okay.
using tiny incisions and a camera to guide the placement of the mesh.
Wow, I'm starting to feel for our listener here.
Yeah.
It's a lot of medical terminology to absorb.
It is a lot.
I almost need a diagram to keep all those repair types straight.
I understand.
But before we get too lost in the surgical details,
Let's
let's take a step back.
Okay.
I imagine surgery isn't the only option for PSH, right?
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Okay, good.
Surgery isn't always necessary, especially if the PSH is small
Okay,
and not causing major problems.
right.
Many people manage their hernias quite well
Mm.
with conservative methods like a hernia belt.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So hernia belts, preventative mesh,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like there are options out there,
There are.
but I'm also wondering,
Right.
even with all these advancements,
Right.
are there still cases where the PSH comes back?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh, no.
Even after surgery,
Right.
PSH repair can be a bit of a challenge
Why is that?
because the area around a stoma is constantly under tension and stretching.
Oh, right.
Think about it.
Okay.
Every time you cough, sneeze,
Yeah,
or even just move around,
I see.
that area is being pulled and pushed.
Right, right.
Even with the best techniques,
Hmm.
there's still a chance the hernia can recur.
Gotcha.
It's why research is constantly evolving,
Oh, okay.
looking for new materials and techniques to improve outcomes.
It sounds like there's still so much to learn about PSH
There is.
and how to treat it effectively.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into the limitations of current treatments,
Okay.
I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier,
Right.
biologic substitutes for mesh.
All right.
I didn't quite catch all the details there.
Biologic substitutes are a newer approach.
Okay.
Instead of using synthetic mesh, they use material derived from human or animal tissue.
Oh, interesting.
The idea is to minimize the risk of infection and complications,
I see.
especially in patients who might be more vulnerable to those issues.
So it's like using a more natural patch
Exactly.
to reinforce the abdominal wall? That's fascinating.
It is pretty cool.
But I imagine there are downsides too.
The biggest downside is the cost.
Ah, right.
Biologic substitutes are significantly more expensive than synthetic mesh,
Yeah, that makes sense.
which can be a barrier for some patients.
For sure.
It's definitely something to discuss with your doctor. Weighing the potential benefits against the financial considerations.
It sounds like there are a lot of factors to consider when choosing a PSH repair option.
There are.
The decision-making process must be pretty complex.
It definitely is.
Wow.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
The best approach is to have an open and honest conversation with your healthcare provider,
Yeah.
discuss your individual circumstances and goals, and then work together to determine the best path forward.
That's such solid advice.
I try my best.
And it actually leads perfectly into the next part of our deep dive.
Oh.
We've covered a lot of ground so far.
We have.
What a PSH is, risk factors,
Mhm.
prevention strategies,
Yes.
and even a rundown of the different repair techniques.
Right.
But there's so much more to explore.
I'm ready.
Stay tuned as we continue our deep dive into the world of parastomal hernias.
Sounds good.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
You know, as we've been unpacking all this information about PSH,
Right.
it's really struck me
What's that?
that knowledge is power,
It is.
especially when it comes to our health.
Absolutely.
So let's shift gears a bit and talk about what you, our listener, can do if you're facing a stoma surgery or maybe already dealing with a PSH.
Right.
What questions should you be asking your healthcare provider?
First and foremost,
Okay,
be proactive.
right?
Don't be afraid to ask about your specific risk factors for PSH.
Okay, that's good advice.
And if you're concerned about your weight, have a conversation about strategies for weight management,
Right.
both before and after surgery.
And while you're at it,
Yeah,
don't be shy about bringing up those preventative mesh techniques we discussed earlier.
absolutely.
It's your body.
It is.
And you have every right to be informed about all the options available to you.
Exactly.
Oh, true.
Ask about the different types of mesh repairs,
Okay.
the potential benefits and risks of each approach.
Right.
And if you have any concerns about using synthetic materials, definitely bring up the possibility of biologic substitutes.
You know, it's easy to get overwhelmed by all this information,
It can be.
but it's so important to remember that you're not alone in this journey.
That's right.
There are countless resources available to support you,
Like what?
including your healthcare team,
Okay.
support groups,
Yeah.
online forums,
Mm-hmm.
even connecting with other people who have stomas can be
Yeah.
so helpful.
Really can.
Speaking of support,
Okay.
it's important to remember that surgery isn't the only solution for PSH.
Right.
We touched on conservative management options earlier, like hernia belts.
Yeah.
If your PSH is causing mild symptoms,
Right.
a hernia belt might provide adequate support and relief.
Exactly.
And if you do have a PSH,
okay.
no matter how you're managing it, communication is key.
It is.
Don't hesitate to reach out to your healthcare provider if you experience any new or worsening symptoms.
Good advice.
Early detection and intervention can make a world of difference.
Absolutely.
All of this really underscores the importance of being an informed and empowered patient.
I agree.
We can't just passively accept what we're told.
Yep.
We need to ask questions, do our research, and advocate for our own well-being.
You got it.
It's a partnership, really.
That's a good way to put it.
Healthcare providers have the expertise, but patients are the ones living with these conditions every day.
Right.
We need to work together to find the best solutions.
I think so, too.
And that's especially true for something like PSH, which can have such a significant impact on quality of life.
It can.
We need to be proactive in preventing it, managing it, and seeking help when necessary.
Agreed.
You know?
What's up?
It's not just about medical interventions either. There's a huge psychological component to living with a stoma and dealing with potential complications like PSH, support groups, therapy, connecting with others who understand what you're going through.
Yes.
These can be incredibly helpful.
Really can.
It's about taking a holistic approach to health and well-being.
I agree.
And never underestimating the power of human connection and shared experiences.
For sure.
But I think it's time to start wrapping up this deep dive into the world of parastomal hernias.
Okay.
Before we do,
Yeah.
I'd like to leave our listener with one final thought-provoking question.
Ooh, I like a good cliffhanger.
Fight on us.
Knowing what we now know about the prevalence of PSH and the challenges of repair,
Right.
how might this knowledge influence the development of new surgical techniques and materials in the future?
Wow, that's a really great question to ponder.
Thanks.
It highlights the importance of ongoing research and innovation in this field.
Exactly.
There's always more to learn and discover.
Always.
And who knows? Maybe our listener will be the one to come up with the next breakthrough in PSH treatment.
Now that's a thought to inspire.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
My pleasure.
We hope you found it informative and empowering.
I also, too.
Remember, knowledge is power.
It is.
And your health is in your hands.
Take care, everyone.
As we wrap up our deep dive into the world of parastomal hernias, I'm struck by how much we've covered. We started with what might seem like a very specific, even niche medical issue. But I think the insights we've uncovered have broader implications.
Absolutely.
Don't you think? What's fascinating here is how the conversation around parastomal hernias reflects a larger trend in healthcare.
Oh.
The shift towards patient empowerment.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just show up at the doctor's office and passively receive treatment anymore.
Nope.
We need to be active participants in our own health journeys.
Exactly.
And that means asking questions.
Yes.
Doing our research. And understanding the options available to us. It's about being informed and engaged.
Right.
Not just compliant.
Especially with something like PSH, which can have such a significant impact on quality of life.
It can.
We need to be proactive in preventing it, managing it, and seeking help when necessary.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about the physical aspects either.
Right.
Living with a stoma and dealing with potential complications like PSH
For sure.
can be emotionally challenging.
It really can.
It's so important to acknowledge and address the psychological component as well.
I think so.
Support groups, therapy,
Yeah.
connecting with others who understand what you're going through.
Right.
These can be incredibly valuable resources.
They are.
If we connect this to the bigger picture,
Okay.
it really highlights the importance of taking a holistic approach to health and well-being.
It does.
It's not just about treating the physical condition, it's about supporting the whole person.
Absolutely.
So to our listener, wherever you are in your journey with PSH,
Right.
or even if you're just learning about it for the first time,
Okay.
remember this.
What's that?
You are not alone.
You're not.
There are resources available. There are people who understand.
Yes.
And there is hope.
And never underestimate the power of knowledge.
Right.
The more you understand about PSH, the better equipped you'll be to advocate for yourself.
Right.
And make informed decisions about your care.
Well said.
Thanks.
I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From the nitty-gritty details of surgical techniques to the broader implications for patient empowerment.
Yeah.
And the future of PSH treatment.
Absolutely.
It's been a truly insightful deep dive.
I couldn't agree more.
And I hope it's left our listener with a sense of not just understanding, but also possibility.
I hope so.
Absolutely.
There's so much ongoing research and innovation in this field.
There is.
And who knows what breakthroughs might be just around the corner.
Now, that's a thought to end on.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of parastomal hernias.
It was my pleasure.
We hope you found it informative, empowering,
yes,
and maybe even a little bit inspiring.
A little bit.
Until next time.
Okay.
Keep exploring.
Keep learning.
And keep diving deep